What's going on, guys? Welcome and happy Friday. We are starting to get updates regarding stimulus, and this is very good news. We also got word from President Trump. He actually did a press conference from the Rose Garden just moments ago. I'm shooting this video just seconds after he walked off stage, walked back into the White House. And I will address what he talked about at the end of this video and kind of break it all down, because there was some stuff that he talked about that I think is very important to understand moving forward, but he did miss out on a huge opportunity, and I'll address that in a minute as well. Also, good news. Congressmen and women are beginning to show their frustrations with their congressional leaders. This is not just the House and Democrats showing their frustration with Nancy Pelosi. This is also senators showing their frustration and Republicans showing their frustration with Mitch McConnell and not moving forward a little bit quicker with stimulus negotiations and ultimately a stimulus package. Just today, Senator Marco Rubio said the Senate will try again next week to push a stimulus package through. Now, this will most likely be a mix of somewhere between the $500 billion skinny bill that Mitch McConnell normally tries to push through and a somewhat more comprehensive stimulus package such as the HEALS Act, which was roughly $1.3 trillion. So many people are saying this will be somewhere in between there. We have not got word exactly what it's going to be, what will be included, or how much the dollar figure will be, but something at this point is going to be better than nothing. Currently, no stimulus is not seen as a better way forward than some stimulus whatsoever. The goal here, based on what Senator Marco Rubio was saying, the goal here is to provide small businesses with some type of PPP funding to keep them operating and continue to provide businesses or provide jobs and provide some type of economic stability to their local regions. That's their goal. And without stimulus, without additional PPP funding, this just wouldn't happen. Also, earlier this morning, we heard from Nancy Pelosi. And Nancy Pelosi has been getting hammered by her own caucus for not accepting the $1.8 trillion stimulus package that was previously offered to her just weeks ago. This morning, she stated, I quote, "I take credit for winning a majority and holding the House." So essentially what she's doing here, she's simply denying any mistakes on her part by not accepting the deal weeks ago. And now she's also stating that Democrats have more leverage and power now that Joe Biden is going to be the next president. And this could happen, but ultimately it's highly unlikely that Democrats will have more power because they still have to deal with Mitch McConnell, the Grim Reaper. And many are saying that Mitch McConnell is not going to bow down and just give in to what Joe Biden wants. Yes, he will entertain his ideas. He respects him enough to do that, but at the same time, he has his own priorities. Joe Biden has his, Mitch McConnell has his. It's also being said that right now, Nancy Pelosi is taking this stance as to, no, I'm not going to accept just any deal, because if she does that, her caucus is going to completely rip her apart and say, okay, we had $1.88 trillion just a couple weeks ago, and now you come back and you're going to accept a $1 trillion deal? Are you serious? They are going to make her pay for that mistake. So really the only way forward for Nancy Pelosi at this point, based on these reports, is to move forward and play the game that, okay, we have more leverage. When in all honesty, she doesn't have any more leverage. She had more leverage a couple weeks ago than actually right now. And it's because of this, because of Nancy Pelosi's backwards thinking, that she believes Mitch McConnell will fold to Joe Biden. And once Joe Biden is in office, they'll get more. They'll get more stimulus than what they could get right now. And I can tell you this won't happen. Because even though Mitch McConnell could potentially say, okay, yeah, let's go forward with that idea. Okay, I'll agree to Joe Biden's plan of $1.5 trillion. Theoretically, let's just say that happens. I don't think it would. What's going to happen is the Senate Republicans are going to be like, whoa, 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 we didn't agree to this. We're not going to support this. You can put it on the floor, but we're not going to vote for it. We don't want this to happen. And so then ultimately, it probably will not happen. So we will see. So as of right now, getting a large $2.2 trillion stimulus package passed with the Republican Senate is going to be very difficult moving forward. But like Senator Marco Rubio said, there needs to be something done now in order to prevent small businesses from shuttering their doors. This also makes people wonder, okay, Senator Marco Rubio is stating that we are going to see a stimulus bill next week. Awesome. But what about stimulus checks? Rental assistance? What about food assistance, testing, tracing, and treatment, school funding? What about all those other things? Those might not happen. This could potentially just be a standalone bill for PPP funding. And this standalone bill could just be a way of taking that $300 billion that the government currently has and trying to reallocate that to PPP funding, or pretty much just open it up to more or a new round of funding for small businesses. So it might not even be any new money. It might just be, let's open up our application process again. And let's see if small businesses need additional help. Now, this is not the best news, as Republicans don't support anything really over $1.5 trillion. They were going to have a hard time supporting anything over $1 trillion. But some have said they would support a stimulus package if it has the right pieces. They will support it, if it was 1.5, 1.6, maybe even $1.8 trillion. That would be enough. That would be about 10 to 15 people. And currently, the Democrats, they actually gain seats in the Senate. So let's say they are at 49 to 51. 49 Democrats plus, let's say, 15 Republicans. That puts us at 64. That's above the threshold to pass a bill in the Senate. So that would be good news. Now, experts do predict that standalone bills would be the easiest way forward. However, they are stating that Nancy Pelosi is totally against this. Ro Khanna stated that he believes the best bipartisan bill that any person has actually put together has been the Problem Solvers Caucus proposal. That ranged from 1.2 trillion all the way up to 1.8 trillion. And this would be a great package. This would be a really good bill. This included 2 stimulus checks. This included unemployment, extended unemployment benefits, state and local government funding, liability protections, PPP funding, school funding, and so much more. And it had a sliding scale. If things got worse, the pandemic worsened, the money would actually increase. It starts at 1.5 trillion and it would increase to 1.8. But if things got better, the economy's looking better, things are picking up, the unemployment rate's dropping, the new COVID cases are starting to decrease, then the 1.5 trillion would actually slide down and scale down to 1.2 trillion. And this kind of has the mix of both parties. Both parties really like this. And that had a lot of support. Nancy Pelosi didn't like it, so nothing happened. This was seen as the best stimulus package that anybody has put together. Anybody. Whether it was Nancy Pelosi and her HEROES Act 2.0 or Mitch McConnell and his HEALS Act, this was seen as the best stimulus package since the CARES Act passed back in March. Now, no matter what happens for stimulus negotiations, the timeline is looking it's very clear, and it's looking somewhat grim. Let me explain. Let's just assume Congress does take time off for Thanksgiving and Christmas, which they normally do. I'd anticipate everybody will. Nancy Pelosi might still try to stay in the media a little bit, but we will see. But let's say they take off the weeks of Thanksgiving and Christmas. Well, they are scheduled to take the entire weeks off, not just days. They take the entire weeks off for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Meaning, we have from today until November 22nd to see something positive happen with stimulus. On the 23rd, Congress will go on recess for Thanksgiving between November 23rd and November 29th. Then they will be back in session from November 30th through December 18th. The problem with this timeline is the first 2 weeks from November 30th to December 11th, will be used up for the government spending bill. That has a December 11th deadline. So that will be priority there. Then this only leaves Congress working on stimulus from December 14th through December 18th. Because on December 19th, they will break for Christmas. They will not come back for 3 weeks, and they will ultimately come back on January 4th with the new Congress, the new members. So that simply means that we have very little time. This timeline, honestly, it looks very pathetic, and I don't have a lot of faith in Congress, and I don't believe they will be able to get anything done in that short of a time frame. I also don't anticipate they will pass something before that. What I anticipate and what some experts are predicting is what Nancy Pelosi has done all along. She is going to continue to play this political game. She's going to continue to try and push to get those last 2 Senate seats in Georgia on January 5th. Because then on I believe it's January 5th. And then on January 5th, once the election is over and we have an idea, then we'll know January 6th as to how we are going to progress, how we're going to move forward. Will we still move forward with Mitch McConnell being the leader of the Senate, or will Chuck Schumer now be the leader of the Senate? And the Democrats would hold the majority in the House, the Senate, and they have the presidency. If that's the case, and I would anticipate stimulus talks to pick up a little bit more, but we would not see stimulus until Joe Biden is inaugurated on January 21st. So, again, this will be far too little, far too late, and it will not really help anybody that has been truly impacted due to COVID. So, here is what happened today with President Trump's press conference in the Rose Garden. Just moments ago, right before shooting this video, President Trump spoke from the Rose Garden after not making an appearance for 9 days. He's only spoke on Twitter. He pretty much came out and said how they're doing really well. His administration has been seeing record highs in, jobs coming back, GDP growth, all this stuff, right? Stuff we've already heard. He did say there are possible vaccines in about 3 weeks. We are just waiting for final approval from the FDA. There's not just one vaccine, not just Pfizer. There's 3 vaccines. This could be big, 3 different vaccines, which means by April, millions of vaccines will be distributed across the United States. The Trump administration currently estimates that roughly 20 to 30 million immunizations per month will occur. Trump also said that he will not mandate a nationwide lockdown. He will not do it. He said this is not something that his administration will do, so they would not mandate a late nationwide lockdown. He said, and he reiterated, they will not do this. However, that doesn't mean that when Joe Biden does take office, if he does, which he is projected to win, if he takes office, there is a chance that there could be a nationwide lockdown. There is also a chance under the Trump administration that state governors, do issue stay-at-home orders for their individual states. If this happens, President Trump and the Trump administration cannot do anything about that. It's up to the governors of each state to dictate and issue these stay-at-home warnings. Currently, there are multiple governors that are expected to implement some stay-at-home order. We will just have to see. If this happens, what President Trump said is a federal lockdown, a nationwide lockdown, costs the government, costs the economy roughly $50 billion per day. So he would not recommend this. To end this entire press conference, so multiple people spoke. It ended with Mike Pence speaking. After Mike Pence was done speaking, he turned to President Trump, just thanked President Trump, and they walked off stage. The media, at this point, reporters, were yelling, were mad. President Trump gave his initial briefing, talked, then gave it up to 3 different people. They all talked. President Trump stood there behind his podium like he was going to answer questions. He was going to interact with the media. He was going to do some Q&A. And again, at the very end of it, him and Mike Pence walked back in to the White House. So this just means from President Trump, he didn't address anything regarding stimulus. He didn't address anything regarding the election, which I anticipated he wouldn't. But I was hoping we'd hear something about stimulus. We heard about COVID. That's great. We didn't hear about the election. We didn't hear about lawsuits and stuff like that. I get it. Maybe he can't talk about that yet, but hopefully we'll hear from him soon. The good thing about President Trump coming out and talking 9 days after his last appearance is that at least he is open to making an appearance. As the President of the United States, hopefully we can see him more often. I would personally like to see him every single day make a statement. Every single day from now on, make a statement. Address the new COVID cases, what's going on, how the vaccines are progressing, and all that stuff, because that's all extremely important to stimulus negotiations and the whole stimulus package. So that's what we know right now. But as always, as I know more, I promise I will share more. I just want to thank you guys for watching today's stimulus update. We do have some news. It's not the best news, but it is news. So I wanted to bring that to you. So hopefully give you a little bit of a positive outlook for the weekend. And like always, make sure you click that thumbs up button. Just helps me out, supports the channel. Also, make sure you consider subscribing so I can keep you updated on all things stimulus. And I'll see you guys on the next one.